Welcome to the RavenFist Studio YouTube channel. Today I let my Rocky fanboy flag fly. We've had 6 Rocky films ranging from poignant underdog stories to Rocky single-handedly ending the Cold War and bringing down communist Russia. And we have a new generation of hero in Adonis Creed. But today we're not talking about films, we're talking about video games with the Italian Stallion. So let's talk about these games. Developed by Rage Software and released in October of 2002 on the Xbox and November of 2002 on the PlayStation 2 and GameCube, this game really wanted to be a hit, landing on all of the home consoles. It was later ported to Game Boy Advance, but we're not going to talk about that version. This was the first Rocky game released since 1987 when Rocky appeared on the Sega Master System. I remember playing the Master System game in a Sears store display when I was young. I remember being broken-hearted that it was on the Master System instead of the NES, which is what I owned. The young Rocky fanboy in me explained to my parents in very sensible terms that I simply had to have a Sega Master System so that I could get this Rocky game. But it fell on deaf ears. I walked out of Sears that day without a Sega Master System, even though my parents would not let me walk out of that Sears with a copy of Rocky. The great thing about being an adult is you don't have to listen to your parents. And now in my collection is this beautiful copy of Rocky on the Sega Master System. Anyway, back to the 2002 Rocky. When this game was released, I was ecstatic, not only because of my huge Rocky fandom, but because during this time in video game history, I was obsessed with multiplayer games. My friends and I were at the perfect age to not have any real responsibilities, so we played a lot of video games at each other's houses. I knew that Rocky would be a great two-player experience, and I was not wrong. Thankfully, though, it's also a good single-player experience. Is Rocky the best boxing game ever made? No, but it's passable. It's fun to hear the theme song, it's fun to play as Rocky, the graphics are pretty good, and there's really only one thing that ruins this game for me, the punch to the midsection. This move works in every fight in this game, and it takes what for me would be a stellar experience and renders it just sad, I guess. This is very much game-breaking and heartbreaking. Never have I wished for a game patch more than for the removal of this timing bug, but alas, 2002 was a time before day one patches. As you can see, this rhythmic punch to the midsection will render any boxer completely inert, and you can finish any match of the game. Oh well. Assuming that you don't cheat the game by midsection uppercutting your way through it, the gameplay is as complex as you want to make it, with combos that can be executed with a dizzying number of button presses. Or you can just use simple jabs and uppercuts to wear down your opponent. I appreciate that movie mode takes you through all 5 Rocky movies, even changing the model of Rocky himself to account for each film. Of course, the important bout in each section is the baddie of the corresponding Rocky movie. Apollo Creed, Clubber Lang, Ivan Drago, and, well, I guess we also have to include Tommy Gunn. These fights up the difficulty enough to make them important, but not enough to make them frustrating. Each is also preceded by a nice cinematic telling a bit of story from each film to set up the stage.
Shall we have a demonstration? A normal heavyweight averages 750 pounds per square inch. Whatever he hits, he destroys.
Between each fight, you have the option to train, which is something the Sega Master System had as well. I guess this is the gamification of all of the training montage sequences from the films. In the 2002 Rocky, you can choose from 5 minigames to boost your particular stat. None of the minigames are particularly hard, and taking the time to go through them instead of opting for auto-train will result in boosting Rocky's stats faster. Really, the only minigame that is worth your time is movement, because that minigame will teach you the combo button presses in order to get more advanced fighting moves. I guess these minigames are technically the RPG element within this game, but you never really feel it. The difficulty ramp works almost perfectly in tandem with these stats, so you feel more like you're maintaining Rocky's health as opposed to becoming an overpowered superboxer. That is absolutely how it should be. If by the time you faced off with Ivan Drago with max stats and he fell to the mat on the first punch, well, that would be disappointing. The graphics are middle to good, with the Xbox version or the GameCube version eking out the PS2 because of 480p support. This, passing through an OSSC or hooked up through component cables to a modern television, is a fine way to experience this game, but really any version is a good experience. Pick whichever system controller you prefer and buy that one. All versions hover around $10. However, it's hard to beat the Dolphin emulator when it comes to visual fidelity, so that's how I captured the majority of this footage. This is not the time or place for the emulation versus real hardware debate. I tried capturing this game footage from the Xbox connected directly to my capture hardware with component cables, and from the GameCube connected directly to my capture hardware with the mythical and expensive Nintendo branded component cables. Nothing would capture with the clarity of Dolphin, which is not surprising. To wrap up this exploration of Rocky in video games, I will say that I love that the developer cared enough about the franchise to really put some effort into this game. You have a very competent boxing game that is built upon some real knowledge and appreciation of the Rocky films. Games, especially movie tie-in games, rarely get that kind of care and detail, so good on Rage for having a heart and allowing it to show through on their game. The only thing I'm missing from this game as a huge Rocky fan is the ability to press a button at the end of each fight to shout Adrian through the arena.
I just want to say one thing to my wife from home. Yo, Adrian! I did it!
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this rumination on Rocky video games. For more meandering thoughts about video games, please check out the RavenFist Studio YouTube channel or visit ravenfist.com to follow us as we develop new games and talk about old ones. Until next time.